Hello, it's Alex and welcome to Hey Little Thrifter. I'm back with another Nightmare Queens video where I talk about vintage horror from the 1970s, 80s and 90s written by women, and today I'm going to be talking about The Devil's End by D.A. Fowler. The Devil's End by D.A. Fowler was originally published in 1992, and it's a story about a small town with a secret, a bunch of teenagers, and witchcraft and demons. The story is set in a small town called Sharon Valley, and in the cemetery there is a tomb bearing the names Nathaniel and Marantha Ober. They both died on Halloween night 70 years ago. Local legend says that they were into witchcraft and they made a pact with the devil. And this story is still going 70 years later, and the local teenagers of the present day are aware of the story. And two teenagers in particular, two of the most popular girls in high school, Nancy and Marla, are intrigued by the story and have decided that this Halloween they're going to break into the Ober's tomb. As the day gets closer, Marla chickens out, but Nancy is determined to carry out their plan, and inside the tomb she finds this interesting book which she takes home with her and finds out that she can use its contents to wield special power. And it all comes back to the Obers, and she needs to find a human sacrifice to bring them back this Halloween. And wouldn't you know, there's a new teenage girl coming into town called Lana. Her parents have recently got divorced, so she, her mother and her younger brother Luke are moving into Sharon Valley, and Nancy has her eye on Lana. But the power that Nancy has uncovered soon gets out of hand, and I think that's where I'll leave the synopsis for now rather than going too much further into detail. But in a nutshell, this was a ton of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really like her writing. There was a great cast of characters, and it was a compelling and entertaining read from start to finish. I think Fowler's writing is really unique. She definitely has a dark wit, which I really enjoy, and she's also not afraid to go there when it comes to the gross and gruesome. I think the only negative for me in this novel is there are some outdated things going on. For example, there is a character in here who has some learning difficulties, and he is referred to in a very non-politically correct way, and he is bullied a lot at school. So yeah, some of that isn't nice to read. There are also some really outdated racial stereotypes which were kind of throwaway lines from some of the teenage characters in the book, so I didn't put too much stock in it. Sadly, things like that were more commonplace in this era, but again, it's cringeworthy to read. But there is a lot to like about this novel. I really enjoyed her storytelling. There are a lot of characters, and she did an excellent job in making them all feel well-rounded and enough that I could visualise them and remember who was who. And the story does flit around quite a lot from character to character. So it was really enjoyable to see the story unfold from multiple perspectives. With this novel being set in the run-up to Halloween and culminating on Halloween night, this is the perfect time of year to read it. Obviously, you could enjoy this any time of year, but if you like to read Halloween-themed things at Halloween, then definitely this would be a great one to add to your reading list. I wanted to read snippets for you to give you an idea of her style. So here's a little bit when Nancy is in the Ober's crypt. She moved the beam of light up to survey the back wall and uttered a gasp of surprise. On it was hanging an inverted black iron cross surrounded by strange symbols painted in red. Whatever they meant, Nancy was already convinced that the rumours about the Obers being involved in witchcraft hadn't just come out of thin air. She shuddered slightly, wondering if just looking at the symbols would invoke some mystical dark power. The wind whipped up behind her suddenly, as if to say, "Oh, but of course." So if that sounds like your cup of tea, then I definitely recommend checking out The Devil's End. I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. It was a highly entertaining read. I've read another of her books, What's Wrong with Valerie, which I also really enjoyed. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading more of her work. And I did want to give a shout out to Capricorn Literary for very kindly sending me a copy of this book for review. They are reissuing a bunch of out of print vintage horror novels from the 1970s, 80s and 90s in their Resurrected Horrors line. I will leave a link to them in the description below, so definitely go check them out. So those were my thoughts on The Devil's End by D.A. Fowler. An excellent 4 out of 5 stars from me. Let me know if you've read this one, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you ever so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully I will see you again in my next video. Bye!